Welcome to NEXTGames Ambuscade series, November 2025, against a Heartwing and its summon minions. Now we saw this run exactly 2 years ago, and while it can provide fairly quick wins for well-geared players who can dish out some good damage, it will equally pose a challenge to lesser-geared players who can't push out large amounts of damage in short periods of time, and it can take them much longer. Now I'm going to show you 2 strategies today to take this month's run on, and then you can decide which one you think will work for your gearing situation. First, key item acquisition. You will need 1 elemental kill for your first run of the day, and 3 experience yielding kills for multiple runs in the same day. Now the best spot I found to get these is to simply home point warp to Sky that you see me doing right now, where you can find many elementals on each island for your key item. Now in more populated servers, these areas may be heavily farmed. You can also go to Grauberg in the past to find pixies who also count. And now, on to the run itself, which will start off against a single enemy called the Possessed Heartwing. Now this enemy has extremely high defense, and you won't be able to do any meaningful damage to start the run. So I recommend starting the fight with storing your TP and getting any enfeebles in that you have. Now about 30 seconds after engaging, the Heartwing will spawn 1 or 2 Umbrals. You want to quickly switch to these Umbrals and kill them. Now if you're a well-geared player, I find they normally only take a few seconds to take out, but lesser geared players will take quite a bit longer. To combat this, if you're lesser geared, I recommend being sure to have some damage dealing trust along with you, such as Shantoto 2, who is good at getting in their own damage by completing skill chains and magic bursting off of them. Now once the Umbral dies, a Leafkin will immediately spawn in its place. You need to be quick and be sure not to kill it or even target it, as even an attack round is normally enough to take them out and kill them. Once all Umbrals that spawned are dead, switch back to the Heartwing and keep damaging it with those Leafkins present. Now that those Leafkins are present, you should be able to do meaningful damage and start to chip away at the boss's health. Now after a random amount of time, another wave of Umbrals will spawn, either 1 or 2. If you're well geared, you can normally just kill him in less than a minute, meaning you can ignore these Umbrals for the rest of the fight and just keep focusing on your damage in an all-out attack. This is a strategy that I'm using in the battle example that you're seeing right now. Since we spawned that first Leafkin from the first Umbral wave, we're now just focusing all of our damage on that Heartwing instead of bothering with that second and now third Umbral waves that have spawned. However, if you're lesser geared, you're going to quickly notice that those Umbrals do a good deal of damage to your back line, and if left alone for longer than a few seconds, it's going to mean a loss to your run. So if you're lesser geared, I recommend always switching to the Umbral wave that has just spawned and taking them out as soon as you can. That is, of course, unless you're almost done with finishing off the boss's health. Also keep in mind that if the run takes too long, you're actually going to see the Leafkins automatically die after a few minutes, which will allow more Umbrals to be spawned. This makes it so you want to be continually getting damage in as fast as you can on that main boss so that you can hopefully finish him off before those Leafkins start dying. You'll notice in my next battle example that due to the abilities used by the Heartwing, I failed to do this, and it makes it for a much more hectic and long run. Now you will need to continually assess whether you think it's worth switching to any spawned Umbral waves, or to try and finish off the Heartwing if they're low enough on health. Now the Heartwing has 2 nasty attacks that can drastically slow down your fight, so how often those are used will directly influence how long your fights go. Now the first nasty ability that can be used is Impairing Glister, which will reduce everyone's TP and range to 0. Now this normally by itself wouldn't be horrible, but as you see in this battle example right now, the Heartwing has a habit of timing this very well right before you weapon skill, which if used continually during the run can drastically slow down your fight, along with the second ability called Crippling Gleam, which will dispel all of your buffs and lower all of your stats for a period of time. Now the length of time it takes this month to take this month's run on, especially for lesser geared players, directly relates to these abilities and how often they're used. Sometimes you're going to see both many times in your run, making it to take close to 10 minutes for lesser geared players. However, if they aren't used at all or very infrequently, lesser geared players can normally get wins in about 5 minutes, half the time. So that should explain to you just how much of a difference or discrepancy there is depending on just how often you see these abilities. Especially if you're lesser geared, you want to make sure that you bring a tank such as ArcEV and a solid damage dealing trust such as Shantoto 2 to help with your damage and take on the tanking abilities during this fight. So that should be all I have to go over for this month's run. I hope you found that helpful. Enjoy the rest of the battle example, and we'll see you next month.